This isn't enough. This looks just objectively bad. Also, ignore this while we're at this angle real quick here. So this looks bad, and this also looks bad. This like looks bad. Also, look at how much of my scalp you can see. That's like that's not good.
Yeah. That's not good. Is that the first time you've noticed that?
It's for some when it's been growing out, I've noticed that my hair's thinner than it used to be. Definitely because you never used to be able to see my scalp, but I think that it's much easier to see it like because the hair falls a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
Instead of me just like pushing it all up to the middle, so that probably has something to do with it. But yeah, like you can just see a lot of my scalp. That's spooky. I'm telling you, dude. If there's a need for hair plugs, I will be the first person in line. I have no shame.
You think you need the hair? You can't pull off the bald look? You don't think?
Absolutely not, because then I'd have to have a beard, and I don't like the beard, and also I'm too fat to be bald. Like I need to at least have hair so that I can get probably some kind of like wife, and then after that maybe we can care a little bit less. But if there's like a hair before like potential marriage situation, like we're going straight to hair plugs. I don't care. Do I need a mortgage? No. Do I need kids? No. Do I need to set aside $10,000 or whatever the fuck it costs to fix my hair? Absolutely. And I'll be super public about it.
I know somebody who uses Rogaine. You could check into that. That's supposed to help specifically with like thickening of hair.
I'm gonna be honest. The thought of doing Rogaine at the ripe old age of 27 is the most depressing thought that I've had in a day full of depressing thoughts.
Yeah, but you gotta get ahead of it. Gotta get ahead of it.
That should be their slogan. Get like ahead. Like you gotta get ahead of it, right? Like, dude, you should fucking look at this guy over here. He's a marketing
That's
genius.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars of branding right there.
We're just giving that shit away for free. What's up, everybody? My name's Joey, and I'm over here with Cap, and this is the Cyberpunk podcast where we talk about Dota and things. Hey, Cap, can we get our weekly Dota update real quick? How's it going with the new patch?
Update? New patch is coming soon, brother. Soon. TM. That is the fucking Christ. I again, it's very small, it's very nitpicky. I shouldn't be annoyed. But something about it kind of annoys me that we're not getting it on Tuesday. You know? I'm not expecting it the moment that the tournament ends on Sunday. Epic League is over. Congratulations, VP. Good job. They beat OG. Very good stuff. Anyway, where's the patch? Well, I know the patch isn't going to immediately follow. That's unrealistic.
Why not? I want it. It's my money and I want it now.
Monday is very close to Tuesday, and Tuesday is Valve patch day. So I just figured, naturally, somebody put it on the office whiteboard or the online Slack that the patch deadline should be on Tuesday. But they released about half an hour ago. They tweeted out it will be on Thursday.
To be fair, Tuesday, Thursday, they're confusing. It's like the T days.
Yeah.
You know,
like
so. It is what it is.
It's like 2 days. It shouldn't bother me at all. But like something about it, I'm just like, oh, why weren't you ready on Tuesday? I don't know what's wrong with me, but like that was the first thought I had when I was like, "Oh, Thursday's going to be the day." But why weren't you ready on Tuesday?
Privileged gamer boy over here.
Yeah, probably.
Can I take a small aside?
Yeah.
I started. Someone told me, you know how like if you want to abbreviate days of the week, like Tuesday and Thursday, you kind of got to do like TH or THURS for Thursday. It's confusing. Pardon me. I learned
good old Thurs. Yeah.
I learned recently that there's a growing subset of people who just abbreviate Thursday with an R. And I started doing that, and you know what? I love it, and I'm gonna propagate the shit out of it.
THR?
No, just the letter R. MTWRF. I don't know why, but more and more people are doing it. it's a trend I can get behind. What's that look you got in your face?
I mean, it's not the only day with an R in it, so it's kind of.
But it's the only day where you go Thursday. Like, I think you hit the R.
I guess. I
And
mean, there's an R that separates the two S days, Sunday and Saturday. It's like the R gets in the way of that one too.
I mean, but then Saturday goes first, so it deserves the S, much like Tuesday goes first, which deserves the T. So it's like grandfathered into keeping the first letter. I don't know what the fix for Sunday is. I still think people do SU. Maybe I don't know. But Thursday, abbreviate Thursday as R. Everybody, thank you. I just changed your life. What are we gonna talk about for the show that we do that involves talking when the thing that we just, it took us how long to talk about the fact that the patch isn't for 2 more days? Next week, anyone who's like, hey, you know what, I got a busy week this week, it's the holidays, I got shopping to do, I gotta maybe clean the house before the family comes over. Hopefully they're not coming over because don't travel. I'd argue if you wanted to just like press skip, I'll know about it. I do see the numbers. I see the numbers every week. So like I'll know that you skipped it. But I feel like I'm going to give you almost permission to, because next week we're going to sit here and we're going to be able to talk about a big new patch that has a name and stuff and maybe like the BTS Pro series, right? But right now, there's what, did you, anything?
Yeah, I mean, I got some stuff to talk about. We can talk about the tournament that's not Epic League. The tournament that's not involving European teams, so most people don't
wants
give
to
a
watch
shit,
that.
But, there was some drama that happened recently.
What?
We could talk about that. The whole Arkosh and Luki drama that happened. Also, my name is being tied to Arkosh. I'll just let you guys know right now. Arkosh is a pretty garbage team, but I am still too bad to be playing with anybody. So I see it around a little bit. I'm not streaming because I'm focusing on doing voice acting stuff. So we'll just put that aside.
Did people are suggesting that? I'm clearly not paying enough attention. Because if I was paying enough attention, I would be harassing you about it and talking about like your dog shit record in BTS series, right? Like,
that's the funny part. Okay, Slacks is my friend. Okay, so I will not comment on Arkosh. I won't I'm not gonna talk about their potential roster. I'm not gonna do any of that because Slacks is my friend. I've helped him a little bit with this project. And I understand what he's going for, and I don't really want to ruin any of that. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about any of that. But there was some drama recently, and that hit front page of Reddit. So surely you must have seen that at least.
I mean, I spent a lot of last week not really doing anything on the internet. I've been kind of unplugged, my dude.
That's fair. Well, okay, so here's what happened. Slacks is going for this it's kind of an interesting idea. Arkosh, his team generates their own weekly tournament sort of deal. It's show match.
Mm-hmm.
So they get random people in. And this last week's show match was against a player called Luki and his team called No Pangolier. And apparently what they had wagered was Arkosh's slot in the BTS Pro series. I'm sure you can see where this is going.
That seems like a real wager.
Yes, that does seem like a real wager. Slacks tweeted. I remember Slacks tweeted something like accepted if you can find anybody good to scrimmage or something weird like that. But it looked like it was a wager that was accepted. Luki put it out there on social media. Arkosh Twitter responded, and the show match was happening. And it goes on. I don't watch this stuff because honestly, I don't watch BTS Pro Series for the most part because limited amount of time in a day. I focus on what's important to learn about Dota, and unfortunately, North America is not on the cutting edge of Dota. Hasn't been for a while.
Yeah.
Especially not with both Evil Geniuses and Quincy Crew out of the fucking picture. There's nothing cutting edge happening in NA. There's nothing like top tier happening.
We only follow real pro teams, like my favorite up and coming team, Just Air, which I have a lot of faith in for their next tournament.
Just Air? You mean Just Air that just disbanded?
Wait, what?
You mean the team that was shopping themselves out for $75,000 to $100,000 monthly salary? Played one tournament and disbanded. Didn't I say this last week? Didn't I say like Just Area got knocked down to Division 2, and I'm pretty sure that's like something that like literally breaks a team.
Well, didn't they not even win Division 2?
Keep going. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, the writing was on the wall for that one, and
those
sure
numbers
enough,
are wild.
They stopped immediately. But yes, those numbers are wild. That's another thing we could talk about, that teams are asking for literally millions of dollars in salary for a year's worth of contract. That's another thing we can talk about. Okay, but so this whole thing goes on. You can see where this is going. The show match, Arkosh ends up losing 2-1. Luki's team win.
Fuck, did Slacks walk back?
They walked back the bet. And I saw the clip of Luki's team. Okay. I haven't really, I've talked to Slacks a little bit about this. But like, I watched Luki and his face just be kind of like fall and realize like, oh, they were just goofing. They didn't really mean it. Because what they did, it was actually very, very clever. They were losing game 3. And then one of the players did some all chatting shit, and Slacks like somehow edited the footage. He had like a video pre-prepared, I think, and played that video in front of Dota, so it looked like the enemy's throne exploded. It was pretty funny. It was like pretty clever and stuff, but like the tone was all wrong because the enemy team wasn't in on the joke.
Oh, no.
And so for like 3 solid days, there were just threads of fuck Slacks, fuck Arkosh, fuck Slacks. And you know what? Slacks' whole idea of making this sort of like a WWE team, the heels of Dota, like trying to draw some attention. People really came out of the word work. And like everybody who's ever had disliked Slacks in any way now has a reason to be able to do and say things about him. So like a bunch of fucking people come out of the woodwork. I can say like 100%. I know Slacks has worked a lot on this project, and I know there's no way this guy's doing it to fucking win fucking $200 in the BTS Pro Series.
$200 implies coming in last place, and I think that I'm #awoken enough to understand that last place is not an option.
It's just I'm pretty sure they're going to get last place, but but like, and it's not like any sponsor's going to come along. It's not like Nike's going to come along and offer tens of thousands of dollars, and Slacks is going to be fucking rich because of this play. I really think that he fully believes that what he's doing is going to help NA Dota, and I can't really disagree with it. It's an interesting, unique idea. It's a cool experiment, I think. I don't know how much it'll help, but it's an interesting experiment, and I don't think he's doing it for any selfish reasons whatsoever. But this move was obviously a terrible step. Anyway, I mean, job well done. They quickly became the most hated team in Dota, so
yes,
bully to them and bully to Slacks.
I think I guess you want people to hate you for the right reasons, and now people might unknowingly hate him for the wrong reasons, which is a little bit confusing, right? Also, in a world where maybe Arkosh does do a little bit better, or it's a brand that's looking to be publicized or sold in some way, shape, or form. Basically, when you're doing research on someone on the internet who is an influencer, and I know this because I literally do this, one of the first things you do is you type that person's name, and then you know what the next word is? Controversy. And then you just see what comes up on Google. So anyone who in the future, whoever would be like, oh, dude, I'm new Dota underwear company and I want to sponsor the best NA team with the most memes, like they're probably woke enough to realize that what Slacks is doing, but that's even that amount of Reddit threads is probably scary for anyone business wise outside of, typical Dota, right? And it requires explaining now. So I'm sure that that's probably not super great at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Like, people should hate you for like fake entertainment. And I think the weird part is it gets even weirder for like Slacks, because Slacks is a real person and personality. But he's also playing sort of the heel. And like, people don't separate those lines. And I don't think they should have to either, because that's a real thing that happened that was kind of fucked up. Like, it's all very funny if the enemy team was in on the joke, but like, I could tell just from the 30-second clip that I saw on Reddit that there was no way they were in on the joke. So, and I did tell Slacks as much too. I was like, all right, well, that part was probably not great, but I mean, I think it is pretty interesting because that's the most people have talked about NA Dota in a while.
Oh, dude, that's so sad. I think maybe part of where this could potentially have gone wrong, to use the wrestling analogy, is that I think wrestling fans, or at least wrestling fans who are into wrestling enough to be on a wrestling subreddit, if you compare this directly to our Dota 2, they're conditioned to know that sometimes there are good guys and bad guys, right? And that's kind of like part of the whole, theater aspect. There's no training in Dota for that at all. People are not conditioned to think about it like that, right? Like, you can argue that like PPD makes a good heel. I think he's or maybe like a different, more abrasive version of Kyle makes a good heel. But even then, I really don't think that their modus when they're trying to go out is like, you know what, I'm gonna get some heat for being a bit of a tool. They just kind of were a bit of tools, right? So people naturally just liked them. So there's like a weird difference between like what is real and what's not real, and I don't think people are like conditioned to understand that. So I'm sure that this only muddied the water.
Yeah, it's also like, I'm not sure how much crossover there is from like video game players to like wrestling, or like what are other things that he heals in them.
Well, the term definitely does come from wrestling, and I'll just step out of the closet a little bit and say that I definitely am like someone who is I know way more than I probably should about wrestling. My dad watched wrestling, and by virtue I have for like most of my life, right? So
but what other examples could people get outside of wrestling, but besides like like movies, there are actors who play bad guys or play, like, I'm struggling to think where else people get that, because people blur those lines as well, right? Like how many people hated Joffrey, the kid who played Joffrey in Game of Thrones. Like, when you can't even separate that with a fucking TV show. Like,
I think the only other place you see it is like in competitive sports, and even then, like, there are people. There's like wrestling, right? You're like allowed to cheat if you want to, like, you're allowed to do things that are deemed as immoral, right? And it's like all part of the charade, where if you're trying to get over like that in real life and people aren't thinking about it like theater, then you're just being a dick. Like, people who in like the NBA or the NFL even who like could be seen more as heel characters, or people that are people that others love to hate, maybe. Like, because even in wrestling, like, I think a lot of people like to dislike the people, right? Like, so there's a difference between like genuine dislike and liking, and an enjoyment or a will to dislike someone. So it's so confusing, and like I think that from a storytelling perspective, I think this is on the podcast multiple times, and even just in other conversations, I think that esports needs more characters. I think that there's, esports in an ideal world has a fuck ton of no-tells and sebs and insanias, people will be like, oh, what about like Arteezy and Sumail? Like, I guess those kind of count, but ultimately, like, they're not really personalities. They're just like cult figures. Like, people like No Tail is kind of the ideal of like someone who can be an entertainer, right? And I think that, or at least my assumption from the little bit that I know about Arkosh through Slacks, because I also have talked to him on the side about it, mostly because he sent me some videos and he's like, "Hey Joe, are these good?" Which I was very flattered
And
by.
you said no.
I'm like, actually, I have some notes, and he's like, "We have no time for notes," and I'm like, "Great, they're awesome." The the idea of having characters, I think, is super important and something that I totally support. And people who are good guys and bad guys. I think that there's a great dichotomy that a lot of people don't like PPD. I think that makes him more popular, more polarizing. Generally, I'm of the opinion that you want to be polarizing. I think apathy is death, right? Like, even, I don't do it that much on this show in particular, but other shows that I do, or stuff that I'm in, generally I try and play that character that's a little bit more abrasive, or the bad guy, right? Because I think that there's an inherent entertainment value from both of those figures, and that's just missing in Dota. So like, I support the idea of what Slacks is doing, both from a character perspective and a bad guy perspective, but there's just so much education that the audience has to go through, and like time, because if Slacks has it in his head that he wants this to be wrestling-esque, that he wants to create a team of bad guys, like, I'd be willing to bet that at least 80% of people, if not more, haven't gotten that memo and don't realize what's going on and just see it as like shitty, right? So it's such an uphill battle. One that I support truthfully and hope keeps on like going on, right? But it definitely takes like a minute to shift that culture and that understanding of the audience, which that's no small feat.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of uphill. But, like, at the end of the day, it's a super interesting experiment for a region that, well done.
Did you see that?
Yes.
It's an audio podcast. No one knows what happened. It's fine. They got to watch the video.
Check out the YouTube for this part. Shit, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. It definitely... It will definitely drive some eyeballs to a region that needs it. People have no reason to watch NA, SA, neither one of those regions, honestly. Southeast Asia has like tons of super fanatical fans, and they're going to be interested in, and there is a rivalry that goes on within Southeast Asia, right? It's like NA, SA, but I feel like that is just fucking, I almost feel like it's a little played out. Southeast Asia has like multiple countries where people can like get behind a certain player, or even sometimes an entire team that they really support. China is obviously always going to be one of the homes of Dota. And then CIS is like super filled with fans. Europe's the best region. So it's like there are reasons to watch the 4 other regions. But these two, like, I would love to, I bet like DPC numbers, the difference between these 2 regions and the other 4 is going to be pretty dramatic, in my opinion, especially if NA and SA is separated. Oh God. I enjoy watching, I enjoy watching like 4 Zoomers versus like, I thought Infamous was a pretty good team. Apparently they didn't qualify for BTS Pro Series somehow. Also didn't get invited, which is a little sus, but like, I enjoy watching like 4 Zoomers versus Infamous, Quincy Crew versus Beast Coast when Beast Coast is actually doing well. Like those matchups are good, but when you separate SA and NA, the pool becomes so diluted. Then you've got fucking Quincy Crew versus fucking Arkosh or some shit. You've got like just fucking random stacks put together purely for the fact of like, hey, we're gonna just jump into this tournament. Maybe we can actually do something. Maybe we can actually win a little money or something like that. But it's like it's not good. So you need some other reason to drive viewership, and I guess we'll just see what this does. I know Slacks is keeping track of like numbers wise of their numbers compared to like other numbers for other matchups. and seeing like how it kind of compares, and just that'll be interesting to see what the conclusion of that is. If it's like 10% more viewership, not worth it. 50% more viewership, maybe. But the truth is like NA viewership, it's like 50 more viewership. Okay, you went from 5K to 7,500 at best. You know,
It's
like, that's not
wild
that
that those
great.
that we're at a point, in streaming numbers and also just Dota where those 2,000 people don't even matter. Like I'm sure that you can
Yeah,
at a point in time, right? You can be like, wow, 7,000 people, but now it's like, oh, 7,000 people. Like
yeah,
our perspective has
so
shifted and evolved over the years, right?
yeah, for
I
sure.
I wonder. Would you say that then the play for DPC is just say like, fuck it? I know we said one thing, but let's just combine the two.
I personally would not have separated the regions, but I think Valve cares more about competitive integrity and stuff like that, than like investing back into the regions and those sort of things than the viewership. I don't think Valve really cares about the viewership at all. So if I don't care about the viewership, then of course I separate the regions. Um, if I don't care about my own personal entertainment of watching the tournament, then I separate the regions.
How do you
Uh,
get at this point like people to care about NA? Like if we just had marquee teams that came over, like I don't think team branding does everything. If Liquid and Secret and OG suddenly dropped all their teams because they all retired and all three of them invested in NA teams because in theory they'd be good enough too. Like I don't know if those brands could fix it. It might help, but like
You need a strong enough tier two scene that is competitive. And like, because the tier one scene is EG and Quincy Crew. Okay. So you need a competitive tier two scene that builds on itself, right? Competition drives excellence. Like, oh, we got beat by these guys. Why did we lose? They figure that out. They get better. Then they go on and beat those guys. Those guys in turn look at it and like, okay, how do we get better in order to beat them? Like that sort of thing just kind of like cycles through. It's why Europe is such a strong region, because you have both Europe and CIS crowded together. Lots of money in CIS available to play Dota professionally. Decent amount of money in Europe available to play professionally. You've got TI money floating around, opportunities to be able to win millions and millions of dollars. That feels like a real dream that you can accomplish. Yeah, I think you need like I look at this fucking tournament. I see fucking okay. I see four Zoomers, Sad Boys, Beast Coast, Thunder Predator, uh, Brazil. Those five teams, the only teams I care about. I think that they are a step above fucking Arkosh, Five Man Midas, which I know some of the names on that list, and Jaguares, which I think used to have Tavo or something, but like I think those guys are probably all garbage, and I would never be interested in watching a game of theirs. But if those guys can become good enough that they can compete with Thunder Predator, and we have like real competition from the teams coming from the bottom, threatening the teams that are near the top, then yeah, the region becomes a lot more interesting as a whole, rather than just automatically knowing the outcome. And just looking at names and being like, oh, I can see who's going to be in upper bracket. I don't need to watch the group stage. I don't really need to watch until the final day of the playoffs to know like who's going to win.
so if I can sum that up, it's just like a stagnation, basically.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's even in
Which
Europe, I
is
feel
where the
like
DPC is good, right? DPC provides enough money that there are going to be people coming out of the woodwork trying to play somewhat competitively, even if it isn't full time. They're going to be trying hard and looking to get better because there is opportunity to win a decent amount of money. I don't think BTS Pro Series getting 7th through 8th and winning $200 is, even if you're from SA, that's not going to drive you that much.
what's wild to think about? Someone winning $200 for BTS Pro Series.
Hmm.
How okay? How what is there like 8 teams?
Yeah.
Okay, 8 teams. You play a best of 3 round robin, so you're playing 7 best of 3. So you're playing a minimum of 14 games.
These look like 2 game series. So
Okay, so
14
okay,
games in groups.
14 games and then minimum a best of 3 in the lower bracket and losing both games.
Yeah.
So you're playing 16 games at minimum, and if you're if you're talking about 16 games at minimum, like at what point does that $200 equate to literally less than minimum wage?
Yeah. 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 For sure. It's pretty low. But that's the only tournament going on right now. And that's you compare that to Epic League. One moment, please. It's funny, Knoxville actually did a tweet about this for Division 2 of Epic League. Let me see if I can
Oh,
find
am I
it
stealing
here
his bid
real
right now?
quick. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Epic League prize distribution out as expected. It's pretty grim. 2 teams get $250 each. I'm presuming this means for playing 20 professional games. That comes down to $2.50 per player per game. Let me check. So he must be talking about Division 2. Division 2, you win $1,250. Yeah. So you are the 16th best team at that point in time.
Man, when's the last? I mean, yeah, there's just no. I couldn't tell you an interesting up and coming NA Dota player, right, or an American Dota player even. I feel like there was a point in time where this was pretty similar with Counter Strike, where
Mm-hmm.
you kind of had like some people who were NA representatives, but they were always losing to Europe. But then Counter Strike is having like the inverse Dota thing, where it's just kind of been growing and doing better, naturally over the last 2 years. And suddenly we see a lot of, teams in the NA scene in Counter-Strike who aren't tied to like an org like a Liquid or an OG or a Secret or what have you, but they're taking games and winning, and like there's new blood that's being made and coming up in the pro scene who are going to be the superstars of tomorrow, right? But it feels
Mm-hmm.
like I couldn't tell you who the superstars of tomorrow in Dota are, because the superstars of today are the superstars of 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes. Oh, I had a really interesting conversation about this. I actually wanted to talk this fear out. I think I've talked to you about my fear of Dota's future and the insulated competitive scene that will happen, right? Where
Mhm.
the people who continue to play competitively have been financially incentivized to do so, whereas everybody else, there's like you have to like support yourself for a year to have a chance at being able to like you know make it in to a tier 2 position, but like the guys who can grind nonstop because they've already got the bag and they're incentivized to keep doing it because they're going to keep getting bags, $1 million bags. They're going to be fucking trying their goddamn brains out all the time to be the best. And it's hard for people to get in, especially since because one of the biggest, when it comes to esports, one of the biggest things about new blood is the fact that the new blood comes from newer players, younger players playing the game and being super passionate about it. They're in fucking high school, they've got plenty of free time after school. They could play a whole bunch, they get really good, really fast. They get a little itch to play competitive. They start dipping their toes into that. All of a sudden they realize they're like, I like this. I like the competition. Maybe I win a little bit of money. Oh, that's cool. Look at this, mom. I won $100. You go off to college, you skip classes in order to play more Dota. Like you do that fucking real degenerate shit. Like you can be that degenerate and play hundreds of thousands, well, thousands and tens of thousands of hours of Dota for no money whatsoever. Not even necessarily maybe even thinking about playing competitively, just being a degenerate and loving the game, you know? And that's how you get new people, because all of a sudden those people get scouted out, or maybe they themselves pursue playing professionally. At some point in time, it dawns on them they're good enough to be able to do that or something like that. And they come through and they're able to make that kind of softer jump from, okay, I'm really good at this game. I'm top, I can be in that top 1% potentially, and make that your gap, that sort of jump, like Eternal Envy did, of just being like, okay, I'm gonna just all in 2 years to be a professional player and see where it gets me. But like, there isn't those newer players coming in, and there isn't a scene that really incentivizes people in the tier 2 scene to keep playing. It's TI or a bust. Every player that plays, that is looking to be a professional player, they're doing it for the potential of going to TI and winning millions of dollars. But what they're actually doing at that point in time, when they're not going to TI, is making tens of dollars. And that, like, eventually reality slaps you in the face, and says like, okay, bitch, you got bills to pay. Yeah, maybe those millions of dollars are never coming, and people got to drop out because they have real life issues. And the degenerates, there are no more degenerates, because those degenerates are playing fucking Valorant. They're playing Fortnite. That's what they're doing. So the people who are just going to keep winning the millions of dollars are going to be the same kind of people who have been around. Maybe every once in a while. There's a good example of a NA player, DNM. He's apparently like 17 years old, super good. He's on PPD's Sad Boys team. That's a new player. Occasionally somebody like that will come in. Some kid, some degenerates, playing this old ass boomer game, and somebody like Puppy will see that guy and be like, oh, that guy's dope. Kick him into the professional scene. But like the Viking GG sort of teams, those like a roster of entirely new guys, like that's going to be more and more of a rare occurrence. We're going to go back to our early days of Dota 2. We're going to go back to the days of Dota 1, where people look at pubs and be like, those guys don't really know what real Dota's like. Only the pro players know what Dota's like, because they've been in the grind and they've been playing professionally and they've been incentivized to continue to do that. So, and I talked about that on a podcast with Monkeys and BSJ do a podcast. I did their podcast like a day ago or something. And I talked about that, and I was hoping they would dissuade me. They'd be like, nah, no. They were just like, yeah, sounds like a very real future. Very concerning.
Is that you subtly cueing me to tell you why your fears are not justified and why everything is not real?
No, it's okay. Because here's the thing, Joey. Ultimately, I'm super concerned about Dota, but like, I'm concerned about the health of Dota and all that sort of deal, because my job rides with Dota. But I'll still probably be okay. I'm in that tier 1 pool. I'm not a player. I'm not making the bag like they are, but like, I'm making a much smaller bag. It's my little what's the small money coin pouch?
You got a little pouch.
I've got that.
You got a little pouch.
They've got a Gucci purse, and like, I've got a little coin pouch. That's nice.
You're like, I can pay
I'm
rent.
Incentivized. Yeah,
I can pay rent, and I can drive an early 2000s Honda. Everybody look at me.
Yeah. Like, I am incentivized to do nothing with my days and like just watch Dota and keep up to date. I'm one of those tier 1 people that is in that circle. So like, I'll be okay. But like, it eventually it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt Dota real bad. So you don't have to make me feel better.
I guess like, instead of making you feel better, I would ask the most existential question, which is, are we already past the tipping point? Are we at the point in global warming, if you want to make a comparison, where like we cannot stop it enough to hurt some people? Like, we're going to lose islands. Like, we're past a certain point of no return, even though we might not all see it or recognize it yet.
Yeah. No, I think we are some past no point of no return. If you're going to use the global warming analogy, where like we're not going to burn to a crisp, hopefully, but there is going to be serious damage done. Yeah, I think so. I think that like, if Valve, and this is a big if they cared, if and I'm not saying this is a bad thing if they don't, but if they cared about Dota being kept into the tier 1 esport as we continue to go forward into the future of esports, where more and more people are flooding into esports and looking at this and being this new thing, what we kind of need is Dota to remain relevant enough that people coming into esports are like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's a top tier sport. Oh, let me check that out. You know, League of Legends will do that. League of Legends will continue to keep going like that. Dota will just need a new game in order to do that, honestly. It'll need some sort of new release to funnel people in with like new mechanics that are more interesting to a newer generation, you know? Because MOBAs aren't really their thing. So yeah, it's gonna hurt for sure. But I don't think again, I always compare Dota to Starcraft. It's never gonna die. Dota is so much bigger than Starcraft. So in that regard, we will have a similar trajectory as Starcraft, but Starcraft is still live today. There is still tournaments and players and people playing. And Dota is, I actually, what did anybody know what Starcraft 2 concurrent players?
I know that this shouldn't matter. But I feel like I don't want a future where my other friends who live and work and breathe and care about esports just go like, "Oh, Joey, he's a Dota guy. That's how sad is that?"
Woo.
Right? Like, some of that already exists.
Not quite right in the brain.
Like, some of that already exists, and it has for a minute, right? Like, Dota's pretty insular. Yeah. Dota is, it's like the League of Legends that lets people play. It's like, something for hardcore gamers, for better or for worse, right? But getting into a future where it's like, oh, well, Dota, that's a dead game. It's just like, oh, I don't want to live with that, like, harassment and those gut punches. Like, I know that it shouldn't matter.
Let me give you a better comparison, okay? I think this comparison is very apt as well. What about Smash? What about Melee? What about comparing it to Melee?
People are generally a lot more excited for Melee. There's hashtags about Melee.
Yeah. It helps that there's a big bad out there, to like... like, hell, I tweeted out...
free Melee.
I tweeted out the free Melee, because... I like Melee, and I like watching Melee, and there's a big bad guy out there, so I can, throw my support into that pool. I can be excited about Melee because of that. So, yeah, it helps that there's a big enemy out there. But, like, no, like, the fact that there is a core game that is really sick, and it brings people in no matter how old it is. I think Dota is very apt. I think there's a lot of similarities to Dota in that regard. And then we've got the bonus that Dota is continually updated and supported by the developer, whereas Smash has somehow managed to survive despite all of that.
It's a fucking cockroach.
It won't die.
I'm sitting here and I'm looking at how long we've been recording and thinking about the conversation we just had, and I'm like, you know what? I was making jokes like 30 minutes ago about what are we going to talk about. And then what we did? I think we provided hashtag entertainment content. Someone, where's the sponsorship deal?
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at this fucking professional over here. This is why he's a tier 1 man. Look, you see all the things he was talking about? That's great.
And I will hopefully be a tier 1 voice actor soon. Tomorrow.
I was going to ask. Is it real? Are you going tomorrow?
Hasn't been canceled yet. I've been sent a script. Script is so small. It's a mobile game. Like I knew exactly what I was getting into. There's like fucking, I'll give you the exact number of lines. 12, 13, 14, 15 lines total. Because it's a mobile game. Like, do you really need lines for a character in a fucking mobile game? I'm surprised there are lines at all. I can't believe that.
I'm gonna be a little sappy for a second.
I can't believe there's fucking 2 paragraphs about a backstory about this guy.
Hey man, the lore's important. Don't you dare shit on the lore. I'm happy for you. I'm excited for you. I think that's super cool.
Thank you.
Are you going to like take a shower tonight and say these lines in the shower? What's the what's the process now?
I've done zero prep for this. because again, it's fucking 15 lines. So I'm gonna do all my prep tomorrow. I'm just gonna go into the booth and save the lines, and I'm gonna listen back to my audition because pretty sure. Like, remember I said when the faster paced Lucio type character that I was pretty sure that's what they hired me for. Now that I'm looking at the lines, there's no way that's what they hired me for. They hired me for the dark, brooding anime voice. You know, that's what they hired me for. So I'm just gonna.
You should walk into the room and then just do Mickey Mouse, and they'll be like, "Did we get the right person?"
Hey, everybody!
God. Dude, that's really cool. I'll have to catch up with you tomorrow and see how it's going. I want to give before we wrap up two small things. Did you play any Cyberpunk?
I bought the game and I never played it. And you know what's terrible is that like I've been meaning to go back to Alex. I'm like, man, I really need to play Alex. And like so many things have gotten in the way, and now the patch is gonna drop. And I gotta grind the patch. So I don't think I have time for any of this.
Can I put? I'm gonna have to like
all the time in the world. How do I not have time for these things? What's wrong with me?
I'm gonna have to put like a timer on before I have to get my index back, which I know you said you're very okay with, mostly because my roommate wants it, but like I have to actually. Oh, okay. But like I don't actually want to come and get it, so like that's actually my problem. So like the time you have with it is the time that it takes me to drive over to see you and like have lunch and pick it up. But that being said, you should like set it up and just tell yourself, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do like a level or two every day.
I really should. I think I will do that.
You should.
I think I will do that.
I'll tentatively say that like sometime around Christmas I'm gonna get down there. So
okay.
So I think you got like a week and change. So you should get on that.
What else have I done lately? I played Mafia for the first time in a while. I ended up being Mafia. I was Mafia with it was me. It was a bigger game. It was me, BSJ, Blitz, and Insania. All very good Mafia players.
Dude, that's fun. So you had a lot of cover. You had a ton of cover.
Destroyed that game. I carried it, but we destroyed that game. Blitz did a good job holding off. He did the really good defense thing where he was able to stave himself off another day. That's what good Mafia members do. They good Mafia, they don't not get caught. Because if you're good at Mafia, there's going to be a lot of shade on you no matter what. Good Mafia members hold themselves out one extra day. That's how I look at it. So Blitz did a really good job on that. And then me and BSJ sealed it. Everyone trusted me as town. Said I was the towniest town there is. Oh, love that.
Now you can't play again for a while because you
exactly. I played the one game I was fucking out.
You got that high.
I don't like playing Mafia a ton because people take it too seriously. So I usually play one game and dip, and that was my one game. And I was like, yeah, that's a good game to go out on.
I did play a little bit of Cyberpunk, and
how was it?
My take is that like I'm not super excited to get back into it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Ellie's been playing, and she's like, whenever people ask me about it, I'm like, yeah, I just don't think it's very good. And people are like, yeah, it's so buggy, and she's like, but that's not why I don't like it. It's not because it's buggy. It's just not that compelling.
Yeah, I'm not super compelled. Like I need to continue playing it. I think for like pop culture reasons, and also for the show that Nick and I do where we like kind of review video games. Like that's a thing. So it's on my docket to play. But like we're gonna wrap this recording. And I'm going to just want to go to sleep instead of being like, oh, I can like stay up and play Cyberpunk. Like I just don't have the will to do that right now. And then the Dota patch is going to come out and I'm going to want to play Dota. And I'm not going to be like, oh, I got to play Cyberpunk. So I'm a little bummed isn't the right word because I didn't have high expectations. I think that I tempered my expectations down much lower than a lot of people because I anticipated this. But like, I'm still a little bit bummed about it. Like, I think that I was still hoping that I would like jack in and be like, dude, this is cool. This is going to take over my life for like 100 hours. But that's just not the case. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll come back next week and be like, you know what? I figured out I like it a lot. But I'm like a solid 4.5, 5 hours in, and I'm like,
Yeah. No, same exact reaction Ali has given. I haven't heard anybody who's like, dude, the game is great. I haven't heard any of that. The best I've heard is like, yeah, it's pretty fun. That's the best kind of reaction I've gotten.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like,
I fed into it. I was like, everyone's gonna play it, so I might as well.
Sheeple.
Never
Fucking sheeple.
Never do that.
Fucking sheeple. Meanwhile, compare that to like me talking about Alex or trying to get you to play Alex. Cap, you have to play this fucking video game. Or us talking about Hades, a couple months back. Everybody, you should play that fucking video game, right?
Play
Like
that game.
Those are endorsements, right? Those are something that fired us up, and now I'm just sitting here thinking about Cyberpunk.
Nobody's standing by Cyberpunk going, you have to do this, dude.
No. One more quick point of feedback before we sign off. I had a lot of people message after last week's episode that coffee I was looking for. That coffee I was looking for, Cap.
Yes.
On Wednesday, the day after the podcast came out, people were like, Joey, it's in stock. And I ordered a 12-pack off their website.
Good looking out, team. Joey didn't have to waste all that time. Could have been Cyberpunk time.
Could have been Cyberpunk time.
You spent driving around to.
I got it in the mail today.
Hey, you got it now. You got it today.
I got it in the mail today. I have
everything you ever dreamed and remembered.
I have 12 cans. I'm super excited to have them. I'm still gonna meter them out probably over the next month and a half. I'll probably try and save myself to maybe 2 a week, and then when it's gone, 12? It's gone.
God, you spent all that time. You only bought 12.
If
I spent that much time, I would have ordered 100, and I'm not overselling that. I legitimately would have ordered a giant fucking case of it. If I spent that much time, that much effort trying to get something, I have no problem with having things repetitively. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. If it's good to me, I'll keep fucking eating it. So I would have bought as much as I could have fucking gotten.
So the 24 packs were sold out. I could only get a 12 pack, even though I could have gotten multiple 12 packs.
I would have ordered 10 12 packs.
The thing is though, ultimately, I'm oddly frugal in ways that don't matter, because at the end of the day, I'm buying coffee that is $2.50 a can over the internet and getting it shipped to me, right? That's not something that a frugal person does. A frugal person buys coffee beans, has a grinder, and presses their own coffee, right? Or has instant coffee. I can be much cheaper about a lot of my habits, but I proceed to justify weird spends. Okay, I like the coffee. I can have 12 of them, but 24, that's too many. I can't spend $70 on coffee. That's ridiculous. Even though I would eventually drink $70 worth of coffee given enough time, right? But my brain's really bad at making purchases like that, which I think is good, right? I generally don't spend a ton of money.
That coffee is unhealthy for you, so.
Yes, but then also I do dumb things like all the toys that I have at my desk. I just saw on Amazon a crazy person. I'm from Jersey here. I'm a crazy person. I bought a butterfly knife bottle opener on Amazon, and I've been playing with it for the whole episode. I'm sure if people heard any clinking, it's because under the desk cap, I've been spinning this butterfly knife the whole time. I have 6 different fidgety hand toys that are all different resistances. These little donuts, so much fun. I bought the finger therapy device from my physical therapist so that I can do finger therapy at home. I didn't need to spend this piece of fucking silicone was $20. I don't need this. I mean, I justified it that I do because it's fun, but I don't need this.
I'm gonna go get my Christmas present and show it to you real quick.
Okay. I'm gonna. The recording is not being edited right now, so what I'm doing right now is just filling time. Everybody, what I see is Cap slowly walking away. It's a good thing, when he actually sits up, you don't Cap's body in the video version, which you can catch on YouTube, blocks a lot of the clutter behind him. But as soon as he gets up, you can be like, you know what, dude, you can probably dust that bookshelf. Hold on, he's sitting back down now. Don't worry, we didn't talk about
the topic, the knives that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It got into my head because I got a new knife recently.
You got a knife?
Yes, I did get a new knife, and I needed to show Ellie how to open and close it. And that is not what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you other things that I got.
Did you?
I got this.
Oh, that's like a little mini hatchet knife.
It is. Yep. Wilderness multi-tool.
How will you? Is that like a thing that you will carry on your body or like put in the car?
I got another. What is this? I don't even know what it is. Oh, hey, there's the knife. There you go. Very nice. Smith & Wesson. Life straw. It's a life straw. Something I don't think I've ever used one of these ever.
You never know.
Multi-purpose crank radio.
That's actually pretty good for if you want to go to the drive-in theater because you want to have the car off, so you need like an FM tuner radio. That's pretty good.
You love all this stuff. So this is me and Ellie's Christmas present from my mother. Because my mom very recently asked me if I had to-go bags, emergency to-go bags. And I said, no, because I'm not that kind of person. I have like some stuff in my car, you know, but it's mostly car stuff. You know, like I don't have the fucking wilderness multi-tool. I don't have that. I don't have water tablets or anything like that.
You never know. So you don't just casually drink out of a dirty stream every now and then?
I don't, no. And so I told her no. And she said, you should really get one. And I said, you're right. And she is right. It's good to have those kind of things. Like, it's better to have them now and not need them, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm terrible at following through. I'm terrible at follow through. I never follow through with these things. And so she decided she was going to give me, she was like, messaged me like a month later and she's like, did you ever get those emergency to-go bags? I was like, no, no, I didn't. And so she's like, I'm going to order you one. And then she decided that the pre-made ones were not good enough and that she was going to put all the time and effort of creating her own emergency to-go bags, and she shipped all of them to us, including the 2 backpacks. So that's my Christmas present. It's both funny and very sweet. You know, like I'm going to make fun of my mom for it because that's the kind of relationship that we have, but it is also very sweet that she put in that much time and effort to make that for us. So
next time you go see her, you should take that life straw and just go drink out of the river with it. You're like,
don't
hey,
worry, Mom. That's exactly what I would do. That's exactly
you should be like, Mom, do you want to go on a walk to the river? And then you like go have a nice afternoon with her, and you'd be like, man,
don't worry, Mom. I got my life straw. Like that's exactly what I would do.
You gotta wait. You gotta be like, man, I'm so thirsty. Did you bring any water? Oh man, me either. I can't believe we didn't bring any water. Oh, good thing I have this life straw. Chug, chug, chug.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That's.
I don't have a go bag either, but I do have.
I'm kind of surprised, but I feel like your car is basically a go bag.
Bingo. I don't have anything like that hatchet. But if I was trying to exit the house, there is a wad of cash that I keep that I can grab that's in like a semi-safe hidden place.
Same. I have that as well.
So I would grab a wad of cash. I'm completely on the cloud now, so I don't have to take any hard drives. I think in a past life I would have like taken a backup hard drive or something, but everything's on the cloud. I'm backed up to. And I think that I can just lose a lot of stuff and I'd be okay, but like really upset because I have to replace all of it. But like, okay, right?
Yeah, all those finger toys you were showing us earlier, that would be devastating loss.
Hey man, I got there's stuff here that you know what. Ultimately, none of it's important. You're right. I should. My goal for 2021 should be to throw more stuff out.
Yeah, Ellie has a hard time letting go of things. I do not.
Does it ever create frustration where you're just like, why don't you just?
No, because I'm not. Again, I don't really lead things quite that way. I don't feel passionately enough about that. I'm like, we have to get rid of this. But we did keep our moving boxes in our closet for about a year and a half.
Did you ever use them?
No. That was actually the one time where I was like, okay, I'm putting my foot down. We're getting rid of these. You could have a full closet here. We've only got half a closet because the other half is stuffed with cardboard.
Also, ultimately, the penalty of throwing away that cardboard is like, what, maybe $30 if you're going to go buy new boxes?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more.
Boxes are expensive.
Moving boxes are actually kind of expensive. But.
I'm actively trying to think about what like my year theme for 2021 is going to be, and maybe I'll do a good think on that, and then next week I'll report back. But I'm trying to do this thing which I've been doing for a couple of years now, where instead of having a New Year's resolution, I just have like a theme to kind of follow for the year. That's like a North Star, something that I can like think about and try and use to like guide decisions. Like 2020. I don't know if I've talked about this. 2020 was the year of stretching. And both like kind of a little physically, literally, and mentally. And I spent a lot of time this year physically like getting stretching into my routine, and it was nice.
It was good.
And I think I stretched professionally, and I stretched in a bunch of regions, but I also literally helped my hamstrings. So I'm trying to figure out what my theme for 2021 is going to be, and I'm thinking that a high contender is like something to do with like paring down or just like getting rid of excess, because I'm pretty bad at doing it.
I mean, you don't really necessarily have to get rid of stuff. Just stop buying new stuff.
Yeah, I didn't need to buy this butterfly knife. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's really kept my fingers mobile. But like,
how many bottles do you open?
Minimal.
You need a bottle. Oh, yeah.
And also, I guarantee you I have at least 3 bottle openers in this house, not counting this one. Like, I know there's 2 in the kitchen. And there's like a third one built into the can opener, right? Like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
I got this because it wasn't a real knife, though, so I can not cut myself. But still, do flippy shit.
You can potentially scare off home intruders with your fake knife.
Yeah, I'll be like, stab.
They'll see you flipping that butterfly knife. They'll be like, this guy's crazy.
Probably.
You know some martial arts shit. Get out.
You're probably a weird person if you actually can use a butterfly knife. So guilty as charged. My friend, I think it's time to call it a night. Anyone who is listening to the podcast, thank you. I hope you're gearing up for a decent holiday season and staying safe, whether the holidays are literally right now for you or in a week and a half. And I think maybe I'll wear a Santa hat for the next episode. And aside from that, it's almost the end of the year. It's exciting. I think next week we'll be back to talk about a patch, which everyone is looking forward to, unless I would love to find out the like, I know that we get a very interesting Venn diagram of people who like want to listen to us talk about Dota stuff and probably are upset that we don't really have guests anymore because that's extra work and who needs to do that. We should probably do more of that. Anywho, there's like people who want to listen to Dota stuff, and there's people who like at this point are just like want to hear us talk about butterfly knives and coffee and our parents. And I really wonder what that breakdown is at this point. And I don't know what led me to this thought, but here I am. And regardless of which camp you're in, hopefully you've had a good time hanging out with us this year. The year's not even over. I don't know why I'm doing like a year wrap ending.
Yeah, we still got 2 more shows
Probably
before the new year. Yeah, 2 more shows. The
and then
21st.
and then and then there's probably like a small New Year's break. And by small New Year's break, I mean I think I'm like leaving for my birthday for a little bit, but we can talk about that later. And
What's your birthday?
It's January 16th. But I think I'm gonna go try mushrooms in the desert, so that's a different conversation.
Oh, we'll have to talk more about that later.
Yes, absolutely. Anywho, there's just gonna be a show next week. We'll talk about the patch. Everybody, you're fucking awesome. Follow the podcast. Tell your friends about the podcast. Listen to the podcast when you're waiting for your pub games, right? It's better than a little mini game about the items. But after that, we'll see you. Have some kisses.